Jim, welcome to Austin, Texas.
Great to be here.
The eyes of Texas are upon you. I haven't been able to meet you for very long. Fairly new friendship, but, man, you're the real deal.
So are you.
Well, thank you, friend.
I knew that yesterday when we broke bread. Or jalapenos.
Tortillas, yeah. You know, where would you take a Hollywood actor but to the finest of cuisine? Matt's El Rancho.
Yeah, he's good.
You said you wanted it spicy. They came out with some grilled jalapenos. I ate like 2. You dumped them on your plate. Ate every one of them. How are you feeling?
I took a shower after that.
You said my head is tingling.
That's right, I did. They worked.
Where are you from, Jim?
I'm from Washington State. We have our fair share of good Mexican Americans up there, and so came down here to try your jalapenos out, and they do work well.
They work. Tell me about your family, Jim. You're married, beautiful,
yes.
Beautiful wife.
I have a wife of 11 years. We dated 3, and both of us played basketball in college, and then our 2 children are special needs, adopted. Both have brain tumors. It wasn't intended that way. After the movie, Mel Gibson has a foundation where they take kids that have inoperable things like cleft lips and brain tumors and whatnot. And this boy was available to be adopted. And so my wife and I started fostering him and went through the whole process of the brain surgery with him, and then we adopted him. And this little girl came available. We had already gone through it with him, so we took her as well.
Wow, it's a great story. You said that you were a basketball player. You played basketball in college?
Yeah. I went to a junior college. Out of high school, I applied to the United States Naval Academy, and I then went to junior college to get my scores up. And there was a time when Top Gun came out, and everybody was applying to Annapolis. So 3 years I applied into Annapolis, and literally they said, well, why don't you go through the Marine Corps? So I enlisted into the Marine Corps and went through my whole training, and they shaved my head and put us, well, I won't tell you all the details, but it was some pretty interesting things the doctors do to you. So I went to a room, and I thought that I was supposed to serve God this way, you see. And so when I had ankle surgery and they had gone through the front and the back of my foot, and the doctor was like, oh, good grief, you can't, how are you gonna play or march with this on your foot? And I said, well, I can run a 4.5-minute mile, sir. I can pretty much take, the pain that I have. And he says, no, you have to go through another doctor. And I had to get through specialists and specialists. While this is all happening, acting unfolded. And my coach was like, Gino, you're always messing around and impersonating people. I know you think I'm a pretty serious guy here, but I'm actually really funny. And so he, this impersonations and things, it took over, and I never went back. And so,
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Thin Red Line, that was incredible movie, and your part there was outstanding. Was that your breakout film?
Yeah, and a man that directed that movie and his wife, Eki, and Terry Malick are from Austin, Texas, and he really put his reputation on the line and gave me a break of my life in 1997. And from that movie, Mel Gibson saw the passion, saw the Thin Red Line, and he met with me at a picnic table, and it was on a front of another movie. It was called Mavericks, about a surfer and the surfing wave in Northern California. So the next day he calls me at home, and he had seen The Thin Red Line, and so he thought that I might be the one American to play Jesus. The next day, as a test, he wanted to see if I was really committed. And what he said was, Jim, hey Jim, is Mel. And I said, Mel, who? This is not a good impersonation of Mel Gibson, okay? But he says, hey, is Mel, right? You know, and you can always hear him, he smokes cigarettes like you and I drink water, you know? And so he says, look, man, if you do this movie, you may never work again. And he says, I mean, you may never work again. And I was, you know, like in my life, I was getting every studio film handed to me. The only thing I didn't have was time to read all the material that was being sent to me. And I thought, well, that would pretty much shut that down if I do this movie, he told me. And I said, then this presence came over me. And of course, at the time, I didn't think about it in my head, but I knew later it was the Holy Spirit. And it was, look, man, I said to him, we're all called to carry our cross. If you don't pick up and carry your cross, you will be crushed by the weight of it. And he says, I said, oh my God. He said, what? I said, I just realized my initials are JC and I'm 33 years old. And he says, God, you're freaking me out. Boom.